Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Color Commentary Podcast. This is episode 18. We have a special guest. One of our editors, Zemero, is here. He rhymes with my name. He's a Seattle Seahawks fan. I mean, Zemero, you've been listening to the podcast. Like, what are your top line thoughts after 18 episodes?
After 18 episodes, oh man. I mean, there's just so much to take away. I feel like you guys have been just filling me with information on a weekly basis. And I think I use, some of those gems that you guys drop. And I think it's only going upwards from here. I'm really excited. Thank you guys for having me on. It's definitely different being a part of it than just editing and then doing the back end work of it. But again, I'm happy to be here.
Well, thanks, man. I think you're gonna discover you're a natural. You love football. I mean, look at you. You're green like the Grinch or something right now. You're very festive, and congrats to the Seattle Seahawks for barely winning against the LA Rams. There was a moment where a fumble became a touchdown and I had to turn off the TV because I was like, those refs. But it was like kind of a gross ass game, like 70 points total plus. Like what did you go through as a fan? Because I'm not a fan of either team. What did you go through?
It was definitely ups and downs. It was a roller coaster for me. Like when the Rams, their first Rams drive, like they were just running the ball. Like, they I guess they came out, they wanted to make a statement. They were like, we're just going to pound the rock, and they ran. Like even on like fourth down, like they were going for it early in the game. And I was like, damn, this is going to define the whole game. Like, and then they got I think they kicked the field goal at the end.
They did.
Yeah.
It was like that, or like I forget that first possession. It might have been a turnover on downs. I forget, but eventually their first score was a field goal because holy shit! Like when the Seattle team came out, they threw a bomb to Ken Walker, and then of course Charbonnet gets the touchdown because that's been the whole year. That was like in two plays, season. And they were like, "Boom, check us out!" Highlight now,
dude,
and it came swinging.
I was hyped because of that, because our offense have always just been, what's the word? I want to say,
they were dinking and dunking, like little like beep.
Yeah, exactly. They're very conservative. Yeah, exactly. Like our offense was very conservative, but they came out, they finally used Kenneth Walker, I feel like, the way that he should be used in this offense with, giving him a screenplay, giving him, like three offensive guys just blocking for him downfield. And it made a difference. Our team looked completely different in the first quarter.
I think what's crazy about the Seahawks is that they have this running back on reserve, basically. Ken Walker has not been a part of this team, basically. I mean, he's held the rock, wasted some time, but that game, I agree with you, was the first time I'm like, that's the Ken Walker I thought I was going to get. And the team I thought I was going to get, and that he is that dynamic guy. And it's just too little too late. We traded to get Ken Walker, and he just wasn't showing up enough. I needed a boost. Another person on my Yahoo league wanted to trade me for Ken Walker for, guess what? Stephon Diggs. I said no. Because I was cursed. I was like, I don't want Ken Walker in my team because it's going to curse my team. And this is like 2 weeks before I was out of it. I need 2 wins. And I had no running backs. I still didn't want Ken Walker because I was like, I'm going to start him. He's going to score 5 points. And had I been in the playoffs, like Ken Walker could have won you your game. You sat him, right?
I did. And I almost started him. I was so close because like I thought about it when they first played here in LA. Like Ken Walker had like a decent game. He had like 18 points, I think, that game. And so, it kind of made me think about like, well, maybe he has their number, like maybe they can't stop Ken Walker for some reason. He's just like a speedy, shifty guy. And I think like, the Rams defense isn't really set up for that. And it made me want to start him. But again, like you said, like the whole season, he just wasn't playable. And for that same reason, like, I got, well, I don't know if we want to say, but like I am in the semifinals and I got there without Ken Walker, and so I'm like, I just have to play the guys that got me to this point, and that was my reason behind it as well.
This is who got me here, like you're loyal. This is like my squad, my team. And like I felt betrayed by Ken Walker. I mean, you also dropped Charbonnet, right? And of course, what does he do? He has like a pretty good game. So like he didn't need him. But like I said, like I would, how many times are you going to be Charlie Brown, right? Lisa's holding the football and Charlie Brown, goes to kick it. It felt like that all year. Like this time, I feel like Ken Walker's going to show up, and he wouldn't. So I had him on my bench too on a league that doesn't matter, because I was like, I have so many like running backs that could go off, but no like true number one. It was Quinshon Judkins, Rico Dowdle, DeAndre Swift, and Ken Walker. And again, this league doesn't matter anymore. I didn't start Ken Walker, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, of course, the guy I benched is the guy that's going to get 22 points, because that team has just done nothing all year. But it's just, when you have a team, you want to have a depth chart. You want to be like, these are my guys. And I've had the same problem with Breece Hall. I've started him every week, and he hasn't had a boom game in a while. They're on their third string quarterback. And I'm actually sitting him this week for RJ Harvey. And I'm like, I bet, this is where he could go off, because it's the New Orleans Saints, right? Like he still wants to play, but you never know. So like you have your logic, and these are human beings. And ultimately, you don't know how it's going to turn out. The Rams defense was supposed to be great. The Seattle defense is supposed to be great. And they just couldn't stop scoring off each other.
Yeah, I mean, going back to that game too, like I felt like it was going to be a shootout. I really did, or at least like in my mind, I wanted it to be a good game. I wanted it to be exciting. The whole day yesterday, like, I listened to the AM radio, the sports talks in the morning and stuff and that's all everybody could talk about was this game. It's like it's gonna was like define the rest of the season and all this stuff. It's gonna be a game changer, and hearing all the hype and everything too, it actually made me change out the Seattle defense as well, because I have them in my sleeper league, and trust me, they've carried me a couple of games. They've scored like 20-30 points, like better than some players on my lineup. But I knew, going up against like an MVP candidate quarterback in Matthew Stafford, I knew he was going to be great. And they came out, and that's what they did. And so, I ended up, like you said, dropping Charbonnet. And I picked up the Los Angeles Chargers defense to start them instead.
I mean, let's get into it, right? Like, so here we are. This is your team, and the Chargers, you did the right thing and sat Seattle. They only had 2 points. The fact that they scored any points, they had a touchdown credited to them. And look at that, like at 2 points. And then the Chargers might do great. Who knows? I mean, they're a good defense, I think. And, you have Fairbairn, who kicks a lot. So we're in the playoffs. And so like these decisions, you're going to let go of some players that you've had all year, and you have Ken Walker showing up finally. I mean, let's like dive in. 2, 3, 8, 11, 18. It had been, how many weeks is that? Over a month of him not scoring over 10 points. Why would you start him? Like, why?
Right.
There's no reason. I mean, it's like the beginning of the year, it was a little bit better. After the bye, typically people start to show up. But look, it was like he showed up twice against the Rams. I don't know what it is. Like, it happened before and it happened again. And he only had look at that. He had their number. He was only in 44% of the snaps, which is wild to me. Wild. But he just had that giant receiving.
That run. He had the screen pass in the beginning, and then like in the second half, he had that giant run for a touchdown. And I think after that, like I didn't see him the rest of the game, honestly.
No, he wasn't there.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, like why do you guys not have him in the game? But
They never do.
coach.
They're like, goodbye. Like, go away. I don't know. Like, like JSN, he wasn't there until he was, and he started
Right.
to get some yards. I mean, this is what I had on my notes. It's that if you're not playing in fantasy anymore, if all your teams are out, this is your chance to transfer your fantasy knowledge to betting knowledge. So if you're using DraftKings and you're doing over unders, like to me, I looked at this game and I thought everyone's underestimating the points. There's good and the yards, and they think it's going to be a defensive game, and it wasn't. So I bet the over. I bet that LA would win, and then I bet that I took an alternative bet that they would only lose by 3 points, and they lost by 2. So like I won 2 of those 3. I lost the Rams thing at the end, and the whole time I was like, my bet looks great. Like the Rams are gonna win.
Yeah.
And I did this crazy parlay. It was like a 6-leg parlay, but it was like stuff that I thought was like easy. It was like both quarterbacks 200 yards, both wideouts, top right wideouts getting 70 yards. So that was JSN and Puka. And then the backup running backs getting over 40 yards each. And they like all blew past those numbers.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting like $40 off of $6. So it's like,
nice.
You can. And I, again, it's a drug. I just want to be clear about gambling.
It is.
You win and you're like, woo, and then you want to gamble, and you have to be really disciplined. But it felt cool to be like, look, I'm not in a lot of the leagues. I have one team left, but to look at that game, like a Thursday game, and go, I think everyone like Vegas is wrong. And just putting little bets, like I don't bet more than $6.
Yeah.
And I just like sprinkle them around. And so you can transfer your knowledge over if you like are jonesing for some action, I guess. But exactly, it's a drug.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with you because and I think also like you bet on like a Monday night game or a Thursday night game, like just like a one game, you could kind of like hone down and really like dissect the game and the players that are going to be playing in that game. And I feel like it makes it a little bit more thrilling when you do hit, like you said, like when you do get like 5-6 of those bets right, in a game. And yeah, I could see it being fun and exciting and a little addicting, honestly.
Well, I had a bet that I erased, and it was like Stafford 2 touchdowns, Charbonnet touchdown, and Corum touchdown, and it was plus 1,200. $6 would have gotten me 72, and I was like, nah, that's not going to happen.
Man.
It totally happened. And I was like, I was like, now this is how I lose all my money. It's like, look, man, you're a hot streak and you had all these ideas. And yeah, but it to me, Thursday night games, I think, putting a little fun money down, a Monday night game, because Sundays are just nuts and you're not really paying attention. So like there's so much going on. And then I hate betting on my team, like the Bears, because I'm like, I got fan goggles on. So I could be like, oh, the Bears are just going to destroy or just too confident. Like I was too confident against the Green Bay Packers. And I was like, oh, they're going to win. And they didn't. I ended up losing a bunch of money on that because none of my things hit. And I made it up with this game. But like it kind of makes it fun, but you have to be honest with yourself. I probably shouldn't bet on the games that I'm a fan of. And I should just like look, and I could be a little bit more calculated on games where I don't really have like a fandom for.
Yeah. And I think also that you could, again, take that, like the whole betting thing and being a fan of a certain team. I think like you could really take all of that into fantasy football, because I feel like that's what I do sometimes as well. And that's why, look, in both my teams, I drafted Kenneth Walker. I have Zach Charbonnet. I couldn't get my Seahawks defense on both leagues, but I wanted them. And sometimes too, like for me, that's why last night I didn't start any Seahawk, because I wanted to just enjoy the game as a fan. I know I think that's fair. In the semifinal, but like this was a huge game, like outside of fantasy for me personally. And so that's why I was just like, and that's why I had a great time with the game, even though it was like a roller coaster up and down. And I was, yeah, screaming and waking up the kids, towards the end.
You were number 12. You had your 12 on.
Yeah. Yeah.
You and Chris Pratt high-fiving.
Man, I know, yes. Yeah, no, it was a ride, and it was exciting, and I feel like, that's football, man, and that's why we love it, because of these things.
I think the NFL, I've said it before, they've gotten better with the story of each game, because this one, obviously, they saved a lot of divisional matchups at the end, which is very smart. So the Bears are playing the Packers twice in the last month, and it matters, right? If the teams are all competitive, they saved more divisional matchups at the end because it's going to matter more. Typically around this time in years past, things are clinched and people don't care. You're like fighting a non-divisional opponent, but they got smarter with it. And so, a lot of these games are more exciting. They're more meaningful. Like we just went through the whole list and we're like, oh, there's 5 like major games still to be played this late in the season, which is unique.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, teams are still, in that hunt. They still believe they could make, the wild card or the playoffs itself. So, yeah, I mean, it definitely, it keeps everybody in the loop. And like, we don't just wait until playoffs by like week 15, 16. We're just like, all right, my team is already in. I don't need to watch any football, until playoffs. Like, no, like everything still matters. And yeah, like they really did do a good job with the scheduling.
Yeah. So what I wanted to talk to you about was the top WTF moments for you in fantasy. I have a list here, and maybe you'll just listen to what I have to say. But this was number 5 for me. The kickers this year have been insane. 60-yard field goals, 70 almost. And I know now why that's happening. Like the quarterbacks, they've been giving the kickers the football so they can mess it up. They can get used to it. And it's had a huge impact on the game. Like they get it just the way they want it. Laces out. They're just able to kick the ball farther and more accurately. And I might pick kicker like 7th round. Like I might just be like, look, I want these ace kickers because I just see like Pedro's team has been carried by his defense and kicker. He has the Seattle kicker and the Houston defense. And I'm like, look, if you have a great team and you have those two, they're like, it's unfair. So like, it's changing my mind about kicker because of that. Like, have you seen the same thing?
Yeah, no, I think this year more than anything. And it's funny you say that because for a while, even in the ESPN league, I've been saying, let's get rid of kickers. I'm just like, why do we even have kickers? That could be another flex position. I could just start, a running back that I have a hard decision starting. But no, some kickers have been carrying me, scoring 20 points, 17 points. And it's crazy. And I'd like to know also like the calculation. I think it's depending on the league you play, but I feel like I know in our ESPN league, like if a kicker kicks over 50 points or 50 yards, that's like more points added towards that. And so it's like, okay, well now 50 yards are like chip shots.
They're like,
They're
just
exactly.
Hitting them. It's bringing up a good point. Like I have Jason Myers stats here ready to go. And of course, like this week, he's a dud, 2 points. But last week, 24, 14, 19. That's like a whiteout 2 or a whiteout 1. Like for weeks 9 through 16, you wish Ken Walker were scoring this point. So it's like, this is like an extra player on your team scoring like an awesome tight end or an awesome wideout. It's like becoming unfair. And he was on waivers, Pedro picked him up. And like, if he were still in contention, it would just be like, oh, well, now look, the regression to the mean has happened. He scored 2 points. He's not scoring field goals this time. Like a Butker would have been picked pretty high normally, but he's like kicker 17. So it's like the kicker thing. it's different now with them being able to mess with the ball. But like, I don't know. Sometimes I want to be more of a purist. Kickers are feel random to me, and you just want to focus on the other roles and the defense too. It's like, well, it's some of it is luck. I think that's why people like to play, is that with the luck part, that's where these upsets happen. So that might be part of the fun, is the luck part.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely adds like an element to it, because, you know, if you know it's going to be like a good defensive game, kickers are very key, you know, because if you can get into the end zone, you know, at least you could add some points and kick. But also, I think with the new rule or something like that with the NFL, like they almost make it where you want to score touchdowns instead of kick field goals. And so there's just so much at play right now. But yeah, I believe it, where I think kickers are gonna start evolving a little bit more as well. And, you know, again, like, what's that one guy from the Cam Little? He kicked like a 70-yarder. You know, I feel like that's, you know, 60s are gonna be like the new 50 or whatever. We got 3 more games. And we'll see if we remain the number 1 seed, because people are already talking about the 49ers becoming the number 1 seed. Like, we can't even have it for a full day. Like the number 1 seed spot. Yeah. We can't have it for a full day because people already broke down, like, you know, oh, well, the 49ers have a really good chance now of coming back if they win out and blah, blah, and all this stuff. And I'm just like, okay, you know.
Seattle's a good team. I mean, they have all the pieces. They have usually a good defense. They have an excellent kicker. They have 2 running backs that show up sometimes. JSN, Rashid Shaheed, that had that touchdown or almost touchdown. I forget what happened, but like, yeah, it's an exciting team to watch. And they were like almost mirror images of each other. You know, they were very similar in build when I was watching both teams work. It was like the Spider-Man meme where they're pointing to each other. It was like, hey, we have 2 running backs. We have 2 running backs. Like, we have a top wideout. We have a top wideout. Like, you know, like Matthew Stafford and Sam Darnold aren't often compared to each other, but they had similar stats. And, you know, that 2-point conversion at the end, man. I mean, that was a dart. That was just like, I got it. And it just, to me, I was like, I guess he's good now. Like, I'll let go the whole time. I'm like, Sam Darnold's a joke. He chokes. He didn't this time.
No, honestly, I felt the same way. This whole season, you know, I've been like wanting him to prove me wrong. You know, and again, when they played the first time with the Rams, and, you know, he got flustered in the pocket and he threw those picks, and, you know, he wasn't really going through his like progressions and his reads and stuff. And I was like, oh man, like, this is, you know, I just had that flashback of the Vikings in the playoffs and, you know, against the Rams. And I'm just like, dude, like, they just know how to get to this guy, because everybody else, you know, he plays really good. And for some reason with the Rams, like, I don't know, McVay just is in the mind of Sam Darnold. So yeah.
It's that gel. The gel is telekinetic.
Right?
He knows how to get there. So my other surprises, number 4 and 3, are very similar. It's running backs disappearing and reappearing again, Ken Walker, and then running backs showing up big and then disappearing. And I think of Jonathan Taylor. Like, I'm thinking, you know, that dude, 3 touchdowns every game, and now he lost his quarterback. I don't even know. If I were a Jonathan Taylor manager, I'd be like, well, there goes my championship. And that's tough.
Yeah, no, it is. And you know, for the Colts to come out so hot, you know, they were like 7-1. And yeah, like, nobody could stop this guy. Like, you know, he put up like 50 points one week just for fun.
Yeah.
You know, and I was just like, dude, yeah, like, of course everybody was talking about him. He's, you know, he's the MVP and all this stuff. But yeah, it just goes to show that, like, it's a team effort out there. You know, like, I get it.
It is. So we could dive in to his stats. 11, 28, 31, 12, 30, 21, 32, 36. So this bulk How do you lose
Mm-hmm.
weeks 5 through 8? You don't. And then week
Right.
10, almost 50 points, the bye. And then he's like Mario that got hit by a Goomba. He was big and
Yeah, he shrunk back down. Like,
he's small, 7,
yeah.
13, 11, and it's like he shrank, man. And it's like this dude who is winning you all your games has disappeared. It might be wear and tear because this is reverse Jonathan Taylor from last year. I had him last year, and he was like small Mario, and then for the playoffs, he was big Mario, and I won because of that. He just was like putting up these 20, 30-point games out of nowhere. Chuba Hubbard was there to help him too. And like now it's like the disappearing act for Jonathan Taylor, and then Ken Walker. Maybe he'll have a big week next week. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, if I make it out of this week, I still won't start him. But
good. Teach him a lesson, Zemero.
Yeah,
Ken Walker, you're just sitting there, man. You hurt me too bad.
Yeah, I can't do it. I mean, I love the guy. Trust me. I wish he would get more play, like in this offense. But that it's just not the case. And I understand like football teams, they want their running backs to be healthy, like towards the end of the stretch. And I feel like that's why they're doing this, like, 50-50 split. But as a fantasy, manager, I just can't trust it. So yeah, but going back to Jonathan Taylor, it's almost like a like concern. If you have him, because
he's still the number one running back, number 3 player overall. But I'm concerned. I mean, he has San Francisco, Jacksonville, and Houston. And those are good running back. Like those are good defenses that can shut him down.
Yeah.
And he could just be done. Like it's kind of scary. And like Amir Abdullah is stealing some carries and doing some stuff because they're just like they're stuff in the box. And we need somebody like it's not a lot, but like, scoring 7 points, 23% of the carries, like snaps. It's just like they're going to someone else when they never went to Amir Abdullah before.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and you saw that when they played Seattle. Like, I was like, who is this Amir Abdullah guy? Like, he was catching passes out of the backfield. And, it goes to show, too, your quarterback is very important, who you have, because Phillip Rivers can't do much at the age of 44. He could manage the game for you, and get you in situations, I guess, to win. But yeah, he couldn't throw the ball down the field, and it showed. And I think like that's what they missed with having what's his name,
Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
I call him Human Bert. He looks like Bert
Man.
With the eyebrows.
I forgot what I called him. Oh yeah. I called him Danny Dimes because he was
Dimes.
Really, like,
he did have some dimes.
Yeah. He was like those. Yeah, he was playing really well. It's unfortunate he got injured, but I liked his comeback this season, I guess, because it was a comeback because he turned it around for his career.
He sure did. The last season. 3 years will be known in this period as the comeback quarterback, where a lot of projects, people, first rounders are just journeyman quarterbacks. They're like, I don't know. It's like anyone in their 20s. They're like figuring shit out. They have talent, but they're just not hitting their stride. And it's like all of a sudden they turn 30 and they're like, boom, I know how to play football and I know how to make my life better for myself. So it's like it's hard. It's a hard sport to be good at right away. And because there were these anomalies like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, they want everybody to be like that. And it's like, no, like so many quarterbacks were behind the scenes for 3 years before throwing a football. And I think that really helped people like Jordan Love, right? Jordan Love is dialed in. And like, he's a bit of a Frankenstein. Like he's good. He's not so good. Fire bad. But like, he'll have his moments. And like, he played great against the Bears and that's the team you need to play great against.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I feel like that's the reason why some of these, NFL teams, like, they didn't have to worry about a quarterback because they, they did the whole process of like letting them sit, 2-3 years, let them learn, and I guess really just get accolade
Acclimated.
Acclimated, there you go, acclimated to the NFL, because it is different than being in college, and you see it when these QBs they come out and they try to start in the NFL, because if you really think about it, like, the NFL is made up of just all stars,
superheroes.
Yeah,
ridiculous,
yeah.
Like the best shaped people who also have the experience, and you're just some rookie. And sure, like, you have like the muscle and the speed, but just going from, like, it's basically like, for those who never lived in LA, you've driven in a city, but you haven't driven on the 405, and you're just like, whoa, right, there's so many lanes. Or if you've never driven in New York and you've driven in other major cities, it's just a different level, different speed, different awareness. I remember my first week that I was driving really scared and conservatively, and I was at a stop sign, and a lady, like octogenarian, rolled her windows and was like, "You got to learn how to drive." That's what she said to me, a 20-something. And I'm like, I know how to drive in LA first week. And, point taken. I don't understand this type of road. And that's my, analogy for NFL. It's like, dude, you're just not used to it. And people with the experience do win out at first, but then that youth, that speed does come into play.
Yeah. And, I think there's like a couple rookies that are starting this year, and they're not doing great. And like, it's also, look, I'll say this for like rookie quarterbacks coming out, like, you're more than likely gonna get drafted to a bad team because they're in that number one position. Yeah, because they need a rookie, and so it's hard, for a rookie QB. Because they're you're gonna get that starting position, but in the long term, like, I'm not sure if it's like very great, unless it's you land on a good team like CJ Stroud did. I feel like when
they were ready for like a good quarterback, and they were going to protect him, so he did well. Jaden Daniels, same thing. Like, his talent and speed and youth just outshone, and then this year, his frame, people were saying that he wasn't big enough, and it's kind of showing that he's just not really the durability factor that people wanted. And so there's a couple. I mean, like, Tyler Shough is doing great now. Like, for like a guy who just started a few weeks ago, I know it's like, hey, he doesn't suck. And, I have Chris Olave, who I've benched way too many times, and they have a connection. And he's like number 8 wideout. I keep sitting him because I'm just like, I don't believe. And then I just keep regretting it. And then Cam Ward, he gets better every week. I think next year will be a way better year for him, but he has his connections. He has the talent. Tennessee kind of, they asked, like they've said, like it's been said. He's self-quote, like that's what he said about his own team, but at least he knows. And like, I think it'll be better. JJ McCarthy is basically a rookie, and you've seen him get better. But it's a rough start, man. Those first 3 years, it's like they should get it into the culture that they're just going to not be good for a while.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like the way the NFL goes about, drafting these quarterbacks. It does kind of, it could end somebody's career before it even starts. But I think now also a lot of QBs, they're staying in college, they're not rushing to the NFL. And I feel like now these owners and managers, they have to make a decision really carefully now and really like say, hey, like, let's, have our offense set up for when we do get this quarterback that we want, like they're protected. And it's going to change, with these college players making so much money more than some salary players in the NFL right now. So yeah, we'll see, because there's not going to be a lot of quarterbacks that coming out of this draft next year. So
they couldn't wait. They're like, I need to grow up fast and I need to make real boy money. And now they're making money in college. And I think that's a good thing. It's allowing them to develop. And we'll see, you know, like a Shador Sanders, right? Like, not the best example, but the bar was so low because he started way late in the season. If you started him right away, everyone would be like, bust. Like, no way. But now it's like, maybe he starts next year because he's not so bad. Right? Like we've seen the talent, and like, you know, even in Chicago, like Caleb Williams, like there were a couple throws, man, where he's just like looks dead to rights and he just throws a dart and you're like, okay, all right, that's why we drafted you.
Yeah. I mean, you know, there's that argument as well for like, you know, these QBs staying in college longer and getting more game, you know, more reps. A good case, I think, is Bo Nix, because he stayed in college.
Yeah, he's like 45, I think. Like, how old is that guy?
Yeah, exactly. You know, and honestly, I like his game. I mean, you know, he just knows how to win, and he hey, there you go. And
number 8 in the year. You know, I was thinking about drafting him, and you know, the first week I was like, oh, I'm glad I didn't. And then it's been rocky, but dude, what a solid guy. I mean, he's been great. You know, this last game against Green Bay, scoring 30 points. I think that people have a worse opinion of him because he's had these low scoring games like versus Vegas, you know, but he's, you know, like, it's like, look, a top 10 quarterback that you could have drafted in like a really late, like 7th or 8th round, probably. And, that it goes against that early quarterback philosophy I had this year. But like, you don't ever know, right? Like, if you got Jaden Daniels instead, you thought you had somebody great, and then you don't. And you know, that's just how it is. Like, there's these surprises. I think Bo Nix can be a surprise this year, that he had a great sophomore season to back up his pretty good rookie season.
Yeah, you know, I'm not like a huge fan of, if a rookie did really well the first season, they're gonna repeat that. Because I feel like now, you know, NFL teams have tape on them and they could dissect them and, you know, understand them a little bit more. And, you know, I know Daniels was hurt for the majority of the season this year, but it happened with CJ Stroud, you know, and a lot of people were high on him, and I just thought he wasn't. And, you know, now he's playing better.
Yes.
And yeah, I just, it's, you know, QB is hard. It's hard because, you know, in my ESPN, I drafted Drake May late. This is Stroud. Yeah. So
he's got some good games, bad games. He was hurt, you know, he would have been a good backup quarterback. But yeah, like Drake May is doing pretty well, I think. Let's see what you got. Quarterback 4. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. He's been good almost the whole year. I mean, he's had a few dud games, but I mean, you have both him and Allen. That's a pretty tricky combo.
I mean, that's honestly just me playing defense.
Just no one else has May.
Yeah. I drafted Allen, I think second or third round. You know, and I knew he was going to be my QB. And then like, I think like the second or third week, I saw nobody picked up Drake May, so I just went ahead and grabbed him. And yeah, you know, it worked out.
My top 5 what the moments in fantasy. 5 were kickers. What? 60 yards like nothing. 50 yards like nothing. 4 was running backs disappearing and reappearing again. Ken Walker comes to mind, a few others. And then running back showing up big and then disappearing. Jonathan Taylor comes to mind. Number 2 is injuries. The amount of them and the timing. I've never had it this bad. I mean, like, one league, my Yahoo league, 5 players on IR. 5.
Oh
And I still was
no.
7-7. And so, and what's hilarious is Rashee Rice is out. So that's like number 6, where like some players were injured and stuff. So, I mean, that team's cursed in its own way with injuries, man. But like, I think both our sleeper teams have done okay, and we've both picked up some running backs to help out. But I mean, what gives? The injuries were crazy this year.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, week 1, I think there was like some major injuries, like Malik Neighbors was out. I forget who else, but it was huge. And I think like I don't know, a lot of people have been saying, these ACLs injuries, like Patrick Mahomes, he went out. I know, defensively, Parsons, it was like a huge guy who got hurt,
Yeah, I have a list up here of the notable injuries week 1.
Oh,
And it's
yes.
Brock Purdy, Dallas Goedert, Xavier Worthy, Brock Bowers, George Kittle, Drake London. All were injured in some way, shape, or form week 1. That's ridiculous.
Oh, Neighbors wasn't he? He might have been like week 2.
Neighbors
then.
was week 2.
Okay. I know it's like early. Yeah, like he went out. But yeah, I mean, losing your top guys like Brock Bowers, early on, and I don't know. I think the only thing I could say is, I know there's a few positions where you want to draft handcuffs. Running backs. You know, I think like some wide receivers, like if you have like Chase, you could try to get Higgins as well.
That's tricky. So wideouts, I did have that thought, and I had Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, and they were both bad, or Addison did better than Jefferson. So wideouts is weird, but the difference for me this year was with running backs. I knew the backups, and I definitely was aiming for them in the draft. You definitely did. You had Aaron Jones, you got Jordan Mason, right? So like there were you can't do that with everybody. But when Kyle Monangai got dropped in sleeper, I was like, whoop. I was like, I'm only too happy to grab him because I know like that role is huge. They need that flex kind of, he's a running back, he's a wideout. We've seen DeAndre Swift do well. We've seen Kyle Monangai do well for Cincinnati. I was happy. And at first, super sad that I dropped Rico Dowdle because he had a huge game that week, but now happy because he's kind of just gone back to normal. He became small Mario again. And so it's important to back up your running backs if they're your studs, to have their backups.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's huge. And you're right, because I did draft Aaron Jones, and I got Mason, and I think Aaron Jones did get hurt for like a couple weeks. Like he was out, and I just plugged in, Jones, and I don't think he did as great, but he got me points, like enough points to where I could keep on, at least staying in the hunt.
Yeah, like Aaron Jones starts off okay, and he gets hurt week 2. Week 2, he's done.
Yeah.
0-0-0-0. And he comes back, and he's pretty, he's all right. Like he's definitely a second running back, getting 10, 14, 9, 7, 2, 7, blah, blah, blah. So like he can do well. He had a great season last year. I was definitely hyped on him. The dreaded year 31 came into play, and I should have listened to the analysts. But it was like, when he came up, there wasn't much left, and he had a good year last year. And then what do you do when you're that, down the field? You're basically, dart throwing anyway. And then I wanted to look at Mason as well. We have Jordan Mason. There's too many Masons. Let's go to Jordan Mason. There he is. He's on your team. And, he filled up admirably weeks 3 through 5. He took over, and it's good. He like you never know what you're going to get, but he was solid during that time.
Yeah. And then I think like for me, I didn't feel the stress of injuries because of that. I wasn't like going to the waiver and hunting and trying to like pick up somebody, honestly. And this strategy, it's one of those old school, like, you get a running back, you draft the second guy, the second running back on that team, the same guy that you got. And then I think like I did that in the sleeper league, and I honestly felt like stress free with that league. Like I would just set my lineup and just I didn't have to like tweak it or do anything like that. Like the guys I drafted, I just let them play. And in my ESPN league, I don't know. I had Bijan as my running back, and I had like Jalen Warren.
Yep.
And there were times where like I don't know, like Bijan's backup would get more points than him, and like would get more touchdowns, and I'm just like, yeah. But I don't know.
Yeah, man. I mean, like it's if you have a team with running backs all in the middle, it's a terrible season for you. Like you need to have key pieces. So it's worth investing in those key pieces, and they usually work out. And so in my Yahoo league, I had so many running backs that got hurt. J.K. Dobbins, Aaron Jones. I had James Conner. They were like, who is that guy? He's been gone. And then I had his, backup Trey Benson, all four of them gone for like IR, like at some point in the season. And, who else are we going to have as my backup? And on top of that, the bench was short. It was only a 5-person bench. So like I couldn't win in that league because of all those injuries. I had the backups too. But, when I look again at all those players, a lot of them on the older side, except for Trey Benson. And I should have looked more towards youth for a running back position. That's the position you don't want to stay in college football because you only have so much mileage. Like you want to get them out there year 21 and they're going to do well for a while. But there really is a lot of wear and tear in that role.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I feel like, at least for fantasy, like, I don't know, man. Like I like and dislike that running backs are heavily sought after. And it's because a lot of them do get hurt. Where if your guy goes down, like, and you don't have a backup, like, you're kind of screwed. I mean, like that was me last year with drafting Christian McCaffrey, and that's why I didn't trust him this year. I think like injuries like that, they could haunt you the next season, and you could miss out on a guy because now he's doing great, and it seemed like for a while he was the only offense in the 49ers. Like he was the only playmaker they had. So like he was booming, and he probably carried a lot of people to
for sure
to this point right now, that we're in. So
right now the top 3 players are Josh Allen, then it's Christian McCaffrey, and then it's Jahmyr Gibbs. So if you didn't get Josh Allen, these 2 running backs are carrying your season. And then Jonathan Taylor, I'm sure, is up there too. But I stayed away from him for the same reason. And it's just like, wow, like what a season he's having. I don't know if I'll be afraid to draft him next year. Like if he comes up, I'll be like, neat. I guess I'll get Brian Robinson Jr. too. But it's like, you don't know when these players are going to fall off the wheel. Like Derrick Henry is still in it. He's still doing pretty good. He's not Christian McCaffrey, but he's still got a huge role. And I was afraid of him too. Like I was like, dude, he's great. But when are they going to fall off? And so you don't really know. I mean, like it's part of the game, but like, you shouldn't hold a grudge. That's one of my biggest things to remember for my draft next year. Okay, these players got hurt, whatever, like start over and just look at it from zero and go, are they under 30? Like he's going to hit his age 30 season. So there's a lot of people that are going to say like, there's a cliff there and it may not be 30, but it's probably 31. So maybe next year he's okay. But the year after that, I'd be a little nervous.
Right. I mean, and also, Christian McCaffrey, he's in a great system. He's just a dynamic player as well, where he could catch the ball in the backfield. Like I think catching the ball and being a three down back is huge. He's one of the unique rare ones. Him and Bijan, I feel like, are like close to it.
Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs. Like if I have the top 4 pick, it's gonna be like those guys. It's gonna be like Bijan, it's gotta be Jahmyr Gibbs, it's gotta be these running backs, Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, where I'm like, let me just start with like a knockout home run hitting running back, and then I can get a quarterback or wideout after that. But because, before wideouts didn't get hurt as much, and now they just drop like flies. And now I'm like, maybe I got to think differently here. I went wideout heavy in all my drafts, and I only went to the playoffs in one team, whereas last year it was all 3 teams because I went wideout running back or running back wideout depending on where I was. And I like that. I think it keeps me a little safe. I have 2 top choices in the top 12 to 16 at least. And it just kind of insulates you. So like Bijan has Tyler Algier, but not every week does that happen. And so you could see like, he's got 30 points in here many times, over 20 many times. I think that wins you your week most times. But yeah, like he's tricky. He's got a compelling, they're like a 2-headed monster, not as bad as some teams, but he's a top player. So like I would be more interested in running back first round or even quarterback first round, depending. Like Josh Allen is just incredible. So like to have him on your team, I mean, that's just a huge leg up.
I mean, honestly, quarterback first round, Josh Allen would be the only one. Like I don't even trust Lamar anymore. And that's saying a lot, like
we've seen it. We've seen it.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
If I would, it would only be Josh Allen.
If I were like pick 7 to 12, I'm like Josh Allen. I'm gonna get Josh Allen because he's gone round 2. He's gone round 2, and like everyone's going like running back. And then I got hurt so bad with wideouts this year. I'm like let me just, if I can get him, cool. And then I'll get a running back round 2 maybe, and then get my wideout line 3. But like it's like I don't know. I'm not trying to do things completely different. Some things are just luck. Like one team, my Yahoo team would have been good if I didn't have 5 running backs get hurt in it. It's pretty ridiculous. But yeah, my number one what the moment in fantasy was Justin Jefferson just disappearing.
Yeah.
Like, it was just so bad. Like he was okay he was just okay. But then just lately it's like like it just gets worse. It's just gotten worse every week. So I'll pull up his stats. Look, he's going 12, 9, 10, 17, 15. Okay. After the bye, 10, 10, 13. Fine. Week 10 is when everything goes wrong. 5, 8, 6, 1, 2, 3. Wow. Like it just destroys my Yahoo team for him not to score at least 10 points. At the beginning, I'm like, you know what? It could get better. Look what the schedule has left. There's going to be very important games here, but JJ getting hurt, and then the backup getting hurt too. And then they have Brosmer in there, and it's just awful. So like, I couldn't predict that all these quarterbacks would get hurt. I think you have JJ, or if you have the backup in there, he scores in the 10s, which is not what you expected. He never scores 20 points the whole season. That's not what you drafted for. He may be a huge value next year because of the stats of this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard because I like Jefferson. I tried trading for him in the sleeper league actually, and like funny enough, I was gonna give up Josh Allen for him. Because again, I had Drake May and he was playing really well and so I was like, let me try to get like this big name wide receiver, because I know, or at least like in my mind, like I know he's gonna turn it on, at some point, and it never happened. And I don't know what's happening, in Minnesota. I think JJ could be a good QB. We're seeing like sparks of him, like in these last 2 games.
Yeah. He's just not throwing it. To be fair, Justin Jefferson had like he caught a touchdown and got called back because of a flag.
Yes.
So he had it, and you could see like his face just die. He was like, I caught a touchdown,
I saw that.
And then he was just like, this year, man. Like,
Right.
oh my God. And then like JJ goes up to him and kind of consoles him. Like, dude, I tried. I gave you a touchdown and got called
Right.
back. So I was like, of course, that's just how it goes this year. It's just not going to happen. Maybe next year.
I mean, who knows? Like, you could probably like get him in the third round next year because of his performance this year, and you won't feel as bad.
No, he'd be a great third
like,
round, even second round. Like you would feel a little bit better. But he's not like I got him as a major piece. I thought he was gonna be like a Jonathan Taylor, and when he isn't, it hurts too much. And so that was a big surprise. There are a few other surprises in there. Like Trevor Lawrence playing like a real quarterback, this whole season, he's quarterback 7 and he's someone that you could have picked up, and you're seeing like after the bye, it's pretty good. And then of course the ridiculous game, like you're starting Trevor Lawrence and you're hoping for 20 points. He scores 44. He wins you that week. So, I'm playing up against them this week versus Denver. I'm hoping Denver shuts him down. But if he has another big game, I'm like, well, oh well, like I had a good season.
Well, somebody's actually starting him, knowing he's going up against Denver.
Yeah. So I'll show you the game so we can get in there. This is my matchup versus my cousin, Supreme Commander. This is Anthony's team, and he went 8-6, and he's got Trevor Lawrence, Jahmyr Gibbs. Trevor Henderson, which I'm a little bit of Travion Henderson. I'm a little afraid of that. Versus Baltimore, I don't know, but like, if he gets into the championship, he's got 2 great matchups coming up. Mika Buka's disappeared. Kyle Pitts, of course, also had a 40 burger last week, so that's how he beat Pedro last week. He had just 2 players that really went off, and everyone else didn't really show up. And so, he's starting him. He's got Bo Nix on the bench. I would start Bo Nix. I don't know. Like, I don't know what he's doing. Like, maybe he'll switch him out last minute. I don't know, but like so far, like, hey man, keep Trevor Lawrence in there. That's fine with me. So I got Hurts, Harvey, Swift, Collins, Brown, Kelsey, a lot of like name brands. Like I'm saying Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Apple. These are like guys who've been good a long time. Even like Olave Dicker, the kicker.
The kicker,
and like I'm hoping the Saints, show up again. The Jets are terrible right now.
I tried picking up the Saints as well this week just because of that matchup. So and it was either that or again play defense and pick up the Giants running back, and so I went with the Giants running back first over the Saints defense as far as like my waiver picks. But I mean it looks solid, honestly. Like good luck, man, because
I like my team now. I mean, like, I traded for AJ Brown and it was the right move. He did do what I thought. He shows up now. He scores well. I have my young guy on my bench, Breece Hall on my bench. I picked up Christian Watson. It's funny you say that order. I went the opposite. I wanted the Saints defense and I had Tyrone Tracy as my second. So when I saw you pick him up, I was like, all right. Like, Tyrone's showing up. I had Waller in my starting tight end spot, but now that they're benching, their quarterback, it's just like, it's sad. He's a better quarterback, but I think they're shelving him to trade him. I think they're going to trade. They're going to trade him. They're just keeping him fresh.
I believe it. I believe it. And, I don't know who will pick him up, but Tua, man. Like, he's
another one that his size and his stature, he's not really like the atypical, like the prototypical NFL quarterback. And he had that one great season, right? And then it's just been like the Dolphins have won a lot more than everyone. Like they started like 0-6 or 7. It was really, really bad.
Yeah, they did. And they went on, a little winning streak, I think. And they would have, if they could have, beat Steelers, they probably would have still, been in that hunt for the playoffs. So I could understand it.
They blame the cold. They say the cold. I put a bet that the Dolphins would cover. I put a bet that the Dolphins would cover, and it didn't happen because I should have said, I should have saw the weather. Like it's just sort of a known thing that they don't perform.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too. Like Tua has a record of it. He can't win in the cold, and he play, a
He's from
divisional game against
Hawaii.
against the Bills in the cold all, like every year and always ends up losing to them. So yeah, no, I get it. I think they're definitely gonna rebuild at some point.
I don't even know how they keep the most depressed coach in the world, right? Like you see the Dolphins coach, and he's just like, "Yeah, we're just gonna keep playing football." And
I mean, I think the owner likes him. Like, so I
yeah,
think he's gonna keep his job. Yeah, I heard
oh my
somewhere that
God.
like the owner actually likes this guy. So I'm pretty sure they're
He's
probably gonna
squirrely.
let
Mike
him.
McDaniel
Yeah,
is a squirrel. He's really
right,
different. The owner's like, "It's cool, man. We're bros. We're gonna hang."
right.
He's
It's
really shown a lot of faith in the guy, and now you
yeah,
could see who's getting the bus. Like Tua. Tua's getting
yeah,
the blame for this season.
right.
He's just like, "Hey, man, he's my emergency quarterback now." He's just like, "I gotta sacrifice Tua to save my job,
Yeah,
and so be it." It's vicious out there.
yeah. It really is, man. And being a QB isn't easy in the NFL. So
QB and
yeah.
AFC. So that's fantasy football. Luckily, we're both in the playoff hunt. We both have very important
Yes.
games. So let's preview some of these very important games, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So this first one is my Bears. Go Bears. Versus the Green Bay Packers. The Bears are not the favorites. They
Nope.
have the Green Bay Packers 58.8% in the analytics. Tickets are as low as $422. So there you go. This is an important game,
Man.
even though it's going to be, well, the weather's ain't bad. So it says it's going to be 36 degrees with a little bit of wind in my hometown of Chicago. We're up against each other in the garbage league. We both aren't doing well. You're going to beat me, I'm sure. Matthew Stafford has 33 points. I've stopped caring about this team.
Same. Same. Same.
It's just
I
like,
don't even
why?
switch
It's just so
anything.
much
Yeah.
pain. I just can't. I'm like, look, I didn't start anyone well. It's like, whatever. It's turning the page. We've got the Bears. The fans are picking the Bears to win. So there's a discrepancy here. Vegas has the Packers starting as the favorites, and that is switched. I think has a lot to do with who's hurt on that team. Micah Parsons isn't playing. So they have the Bears as a slight favorite, 1.5-point favorite. The total is 46.5. I think that's pretty good. And then, it's basically a toss up with the money line. This is a playoff game. Let's be honest. Like whoever wins this wins the division most likely.
Right.
And we're looking at the stats. So we have two quarterbacks throwing in the 3,000 yards, 21 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. It's like, again, Spider-Man meme over here. It's like, which is what team? Jacobs and Swift looking very similar. The touchdowns aren't as good for Swift. Dobbs and Adunze. Well, like Adunze is not playing, and neither is Luther Burden, and that's going to matter. And neither is Edmonds. So they're both facing key injuries.
Yeah.
So, like, do you agree with who do you agree with the most? The analytics, the fans, or Vegas?
I want to say the fans, man. I think, like they know their team. And again, I knew my Seahawks, like we would win some way, somehow. I think that's the same, with these Bears. I've seen them play this season, and I do believe, like, Caleb has it in him to go up against the Green Bay defense, which I don't think the Green Bay defense is that great. Like, and especially losing Micah Parsons, your key rusher. It's gonna be huge. Again, Josh Jacobs, he's questionable. He's gonna be playing banged up. Like if they don't get a running game going, like they're just gonna have to rely on the pass. And I feel like the Bears have some really good corners on their side. And yeah, I would give the slight edge to the Bears, man.
Yeah, I think that I think the Vegas is right. I think the fans might be right as well. And I think that basically it's very close to call. Like wherever you put your money, it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
a tough game. I think for me, for my team, I need to make sure I put in either DeAndre Swift or Kyle Monungai. Even though it's the Packers defense, I think with Luther Burden and Rome Odunze out, they're going to have to throw to the running back too. I think DJ Moore finally is a good wideout option now that all the competition is gone. But I'll be glued to my seat tomorrow watching this game and hoping my Bears win. And so, good luck, Bears. I think you're right. It does come down to Caleb. It comes down to the quarterbacks, and Jordan Love has played good football as of late.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's gonna be a show, man. And again, I'm gonna be watching it closely as well. I have some playoff stakes in this one as well. I'm hoping Bears defense could stop Josh Jacobs if he decides to play banged up. But yeah, it should lead to another exciting game. So I'm I'm ready for it. I'm excited.
Yeah.
This is the late game, right? This is
Saturday. This is the only.
Yeah.
I think it's the only game on Saturday. So it's
no,
just
there's two games.
Oh, there's two. You're right. You're so right. There's the other game is important too. It's the Eagles and Commanders. They play at 2:00, and the Bears a later game. You're right.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. No. Perfect.
Yeah. So the Eagles. I have a lot at stake here with the Eagles. I have Jalen Hurts. I have AJ Brown. I think the Commanders are we have Marcus Mariota auditioning for another team. I think he's going to be tough to keep. It's like he's done pretty well for his team. Yeah. He is the leading quarterback with yards. Like he's got some touchdowns. I think like a Raiders might pick him up, and see what happens. But Jalen Hurts has been bananas. He's good. He's not good. He's all right. I think Barkley, anyone who drafted him would be like a little disappointed in this year. But we have the Eagles as huge favorites, a touchdown favorite right now, 44.5 points, a money line favoring them. The fans are overwhelmingly picking the Eagles at 96%. Is there anything else to say? The tickets are only $88. So,
oh man,
you can go see this game in
is it at Washington? Okay, yeah. No, I think the only thing, hope. I know you have AJ Brown. I hope Dallas Goedert doesn't take his touchdowns away. Because and also, to be honest, it could really just turn into a Saquon Barkley show, like the Washington Commanders, they don't really have a great defense.
And what are they playing for, right? Like this matchup,
right?
is different than last year. We saw Jaden Daniels just light everybody up, and it was exciting football to see. And now he's now playing. They're basically done for the year, and I think it's time for them to like see who else they got on there. They're already on next year, so this could be a blowout, and it could be points all around, or they shut down everybody early and I might miss out. So like however this plays out is important. I need them to play for pride basically and be in the game, or they are just going to hand the ball over to their running backs and I'm going to miss out on points.
Right, exactly.
The next game we're going to preview is going to be the Jaguars versus the Broncos. They are both playing for a lot here, right? So this is a playoff. Again, we're already basically at playoff football. It's close in the analytics. 57% for the Denver Broncos, 42% for Jacksonville. It's 12-2 team versus a 10-4 team. They're both on top of the standings, but Jacksonville's only up by one game, and Houston has played excellent defense. I'm going to say this right now. If Houston ends up winning this division, they could win the Super Bowl because their defense is amazing. Like to me, dark horse candidate for the Super Bowl win, because like when any quarterback goes up against them, they turn to water. It's just they're not able to play. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, no, look. Houston is a sneaky, you're right, dark horse. That they're slowly kind of coming up the rear, and like nobody's really like looking behind them, until they're like right on your back. And so that could be interesting to see how that plays out the rest of the season.
Exactly. I think people are underestimating the Broncos for some reason. They're 12-2. The Chargers are 10-4. The Kansas City Chiefs, for the first time in 10 years, aren't in the playoffs. And so that's wild to me. And so we have Vegas favoriting the Broncos by 3.5. So a field goal. It's 47.5 in the middle for points. And the money line is somewhat close, favoring the Broncos. And the fans are picking the Broncos overwhelmingly to win this game.
I mean, I understand. Like, nobody wants to go up against that defense. The Broncos, they're one of those teams that they just find ways to win, even if like in 3 quarters they're not playing great. In the 4th quarter, like Bo Nix throws 5 touchdowns.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's hard to go against that. I know the Jacksonville Jaguars have been playing great. Not to discredit them. I think their offense, they're finally like in a mesh. So yeah, so I do feel like it's gonna be a really good game. I think it's gonna be one of those like where in the first 2 quarters, it's going to be like defensive. They're going to feel each other out. Then in the second 2, they're going to come out and just start like bombing the ball downfield. So we'll see.
All the injuries on Denver side is on their defense. So their 2 linebackers, a safety, a guard, and a linebacker are all out of this game.
Yeah.
So like, there's some issue there. There's Patrick Surtain who shuts down wideouts. Vishal Tutin's not playing. Travis Hunter's been out for a while. So like to me, I think the Broncos could win, but I do see the Jaguars keeping it close. I'd be interested in betting the spread here, that the Jacksonville Jaguars keep it within 3 points and the over. No. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored. All right. So that's Denver. That's going to be a tight game versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. And we're moving to another game that matters a whole heck of a lot. The Lions versus the Steelers. The Lions, first, the analytics are heavy favorites. They're in Detroit. It's going to be 27 degrees outside, but who cares? It's a dome. Tickets as low as $231, and the fans are overwhelmingly picking the Lions. I don't know, man. I mean, like that Aaron Rodgers is really, really wily. They have the Lions winning by a touchdown. Everyone is seeing this as an over 50-point game. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 8-6. And the Detroit Lions are 8-6. But what 2 different worlds those are. Pittsburgh is number 1 and Detroit's number 3 in a very competitive NFC North. I mean, man, oh man. Like, I don't know. Like, I could see the Steelers stealing this one.
Yeah. It's crazy to see. I thought this was going to be like a 50-50 split, honestly. But I think a lot of people, they might just want they want to see the Lions in the playoffs probably. Like a lot, everybody, it's a team you could root for. I don't think there's any like bad, like the coach is great. The players are great on that team, like they have so much, like
goodwill.
Yeah. Like goodwill, like spunk going for them, it's just like, you like seeing them succeed for some reason. So
I mean, they've been bad for so long.
Yeah. Wait, they're in your division, right? The Bears division.
Yeah. So I've seen them a long time. Like, back when they had, we have their offensive, coach now, right? So like when Ben Johnson came on, they were like 2-14, and then they went 8-8, and then they went like 11-6 or whatever it was, 11-5, and they gave everyone a run for their money, and everyone was super excited. Detroit's pride is there. Eminem shows up out of nowhere, and all of a sudden they're like, we like football again. And they were like the Browns, like they were like just perennial losers, like a joke. And you kind of went there to die. Matthew Stafford was maybe gonna make it into the Hall of Fame, like a Dan Marino. Huge stats, no Super Bowl, and then that trade happened.
Right.
And it was better for both of them, to be honest. Like Jared Goff gets respect here in the Detroit Lions. He's not as good as a Matthew Stafford, but who knows? Like, it seemed like that trade worked really well. Jahmyr Gibbs is a monster. I wish I had him on my team. Amon-Ra St. Barrow's the same way, like over 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns, like holy. You know, if I had both of them on my team, I'd be happy. You know, like I wouldn't mind having both. And then Aaron Rodgers has been a really good, decent quarterback, not losing games, right? I think that's huge when you're over 40. Just don't lose the game.
Right.
And then like Warren has been trading, you know, he's been good and bad. Like he'd be a frustrating guy to own because like sometimes he's awesome. DK Metcalf shows up sometimes. So like, yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at his carries and his yardages. Like it's just, oof, like if he gets a touchdown, you're okay. But otherwise, like he's up and down. How do you feel about you have Jaylen Warren, don't you, in one of your leagues?
I do have him. Honestly, like I drafted him and I thought he was gonna do what he did, and that's it. Like I knew he was gonna get me like 10 plus points, you know, and that's all I really needed. I had Bijan as well, and so I figured like, you know, Bijan would lead, and I would just have Warren kind of, you know, get me a solid 10 points every week, and which he has. You know, there's been some times where he's been hurt or injured for some reason. I think last game he was sick, and so that's why you saw like a split with Gainwell, and so it was like a weird, you know, like game, but he still managed to get like 11 points or something like that. So yeah, he's gonna be one of those players where it's not great, but he'll get you a solid 10 points.
He's underrated. He's like a good piece to have, a flex player, or you're a running back too. And I think that's what I should start with when I draft next year. It's like, who are some good flex players to just hone in on that'll just be solid so that you have a solid base? I think that in the heat of the moment, you're thinking about your first 3 rounds. And then after that, you're just sort of grabbing. You're just like, I don't know, DeAndre Swift, I don't know, Ken Walker. And like, that's when things get really emotional because you don't have a plan anymore. I had a plan and a lot of those plans got blown up by Justin Jefferson. I just was like too tempted. I actually wanted Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I just like, I couldn't get over the name and it was a mistake. And so like, you know, you have your plans, you want to stick with them. And there's some crazy things that happen in the draft. But I think a Jaylen Warren is a solid piece. He's not, you know, going to win you your league, but he's a good player to have. And I think DeAndre Swift's a similar player that could go in the 4th, 5th, or 6th round. And I think like I'm happy with where I drafted him. And he's just been a nice surprise to keep on my team.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's, you know, I feel like you're right. In the first like 3 rounds, you know, you see who people pick up and you see the names that are still there and you get like excited and overwhelmed and you kind of throw your, you know, like all your homework and everything that you've done, you kind of just throw it out, you know, and just go with your heart racing, you know, feeling on that draft day. But yeah, man, I feel the same way. I think next year, at least for this ESPN one, I'm gonna have more of a solid plan and stick to it.
I think it's important to stick with it. I don't think there was a team I was unhappy with in all of the simulations. And then, you know, it's just with human beings, like players dropped in places I didn't expect. And so, you know, it's just stuff that you have to remember, you know, it's when the season's over, you're talking about 8 months before football comes back. So it's just you forget so much, you know, you get rusty. And so I think I'll be doing the podcast like in June or July, like little episodes and just be like, oh, let's remember football again. It's like we've all forgotten like the entire year and all these players and bit players. Like, where do we draft a Quinshon Judkins? Where do we draft Pittman or a Sutton? You know, like you don't know those things, but it's like good to just keep these players top of mind.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that's a great idea. You know, you could talk strategy as well, and some guys you have high and some guys you have low. So yeah.
100%. All right. The last game we're going to preview is a big one. They're all big ones this week. It's just all playoff games, basically. It's the New England Patriots versus the Baltimore Ravens. The 7-7 Baltimore Ravens just being one game behind Pittsburgh. And then, the surprising New England Patriots that people still are kind of like, they had an easy schedule. But Drake May has emerged as an heir of that team, and he's played lights out football. They're playing in Baltimore, 34 degrees. So not bad weather right now. Baltimore's favorited somehow by the analytics, but not by the fans. They have the Patriots at 70% favorites, and you can see the stats. Look at Drake May over there with 3,500.
Man,
that's
crazy.
Sick, right? And
second
Jackson
year.
over here, look, second year. I mean, wow. Lamar Jackson with 2,200. Now, granted, he was hurt. And we have the running backs of, Trayvon Henderson is probably going to be a second rounder, the way he's playing, because people remember the end, and he's been playing great. But he's going to go probably way too early, and people be upset if he's not going to keep being this guy at the end of the year. Stephon Diggs, he was hot for a bit, but now they're passing the football around too much. Zay Flowers is a huge boomer bust player. And Derrick Henry, I'm scared of him for next year because I'm pretty sure he's going to be, he's in his year 31 season, and he's no Aaron Jones. He's still showing up and doing great. How long will that keep up? I don't know. I'm not going to count him out, but I'm not excited to draft him next year.
Yeah, likewise. I mean, I drafted Henry in the sleeper league this year. And again, he's been okay. He's been one of those that, he'll get you like 15 points or so. Nothing great, but, nothing under 10. I feel like I don't think.
No, he's nothing under 10. So he's good, not great, but good helps.
Yeah,
it's not a bust.
It does. I might stay away from him. If he drops to like the third round, maybe I pick him up, but which I doubt. Like I think people are gonna pick him up just because he's Derrick Henry, But I do feel like that's probably at this point where for me, I would get him if he was in the third round.
Yeah, I think he belongs in the third round, but I'd be surprised if he ends up there because of the name and everything. I think people will be too tempted, but I wouldn't. Yeah, I would wait on picking him up. For this game specifically, I like this top line. I like betting the Patriots spread. I like betting the over, and I like betting New England to win. I mean, I think they're being disrespected here. I mean, they could, I think the Ravens played very well last week, but I see the Patriots winning this game. I'm not sure how the Ravens squeak out. It's just too many good things are going their way.
Really? I'm the opposite, man. I believe, look, the Ravens have more at stake here. They're gonna come out, and they're gonna really like Lamar. He's like a good month now or month and a half from back from his injury. I feel like he's gonna be old Lamar. He's gonna run the ball. I think I want Derrick Henry to do great because I have him on my team. So. I'm believing in that, but I do feel like at home, they're gonna come out and they're gonna make a statement because I do feel like a lot of people, they already tossed them aside as like even making the playoffs.
That's true. I mean, the Patriots, they're close. I mean, the fact that Buffalo won last week was insane. I mean, you just saw, Allen put the cape on. I think that the same thing could happen here. Like Lamar Jackson could put the cape on and go, it's nice that you're doing good your second season. I've been here and I'm going to win this football game.
Right. Yeah. It could be a show, man. And I feel like it will be. So
it's going to be a show.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely watching this game. It's a later game. The Monday night game is Niners Indy. I'm not as excited after the Phillip Rivers experience. I'm just not sure I see anything exciting there. I think, this game's going to be exciting. There's a lot at stake. And I think it's two comparable teams. Like their defense has come back for the Ravens and they have some boomer bust wideouts. some solid running back help. And May is just, it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a lot like your Seahawks versus the Rams. Like it's going to come down to some odd calls and some quarterback play.
I hope so, because that just means as far as fantasy wise, that just means a lot of points.
Points,
if they, like that's that's why we play. That's why we're here. We like to see the points. But yeah, I think this weekend, honestly, a football it's going to be one to watch.
That's the Color Commentary Podcast. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. And Zemero did a great job his first time co-hosting, so I appreciate you filling in. Pedro and Jamar are out for different reasons. There's a cold going around, and Jamar is a working man. But it's been fun having you here on the podcast. And you're probably going to edit this as soon as we stop recording. But hey, man, any words about this season, about this episode you have for the audience?
No, I mean, honestly, I was a little scared. I'm not even gonna lie. To come on and I guess show my face. But I love football and I love talking about it. And I think once I start talking about football and everything football, you forget about everything else.
It's a fun obsession. I mean, it's a controversial game. We didn't even talk about Puka Nacua and his antics and his fines, and it's I don't want to talk about it.
Right.
I just think about the 200 yards. I'm like, just play the game.
Yes.
Stop recording yourself and let the commentators talk about the antics. But that's not what I'm here for. I just want them to play the game that is exciting to watch, that it's exciting to try to predict and talk about.
Yeah, no, same here, man. And there's just so much that football gives you, good and bad. But we show up every Sunday, every Saturday, every Thursday, Monday, to watch these games, because there is a lot that goes into a week of prep and plan and all these things. And once you start getting down to that nitty gritty of how teams function and work, it's definitely something special. So to be able to talk about it, I think is, it's nice. And we have that space to express ourselves as well.
Well, it's analogous to life, right? Prepare. And then who knows what's going to happen. But if you're prepped, you're giving it your best shot. These players behind the scenes are taking care of themselves, working out all the time. And you see them bounce back, and there's some great stories this year. So thanks for joining us on Color Commentary, and catch us next week, and good luck in your games. Go Bears.
Yeah. I'm gonna be a Bears fan as well this week. Go Bears. My Hawks already, we played that, this week is behind me, but yeah, I'm gonna be a huge Bears fan this week. So
man, it's needed, it's appreciated, and both our teams are doing well, and so we'll see how the playoffs turn out. Everything goes there, but otherwise, we'll see y'all next week.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you, guys.